Hi everyone, I'm Cheryl and welcome to the Sewing Room channel, and this is your tip of the week. I'm going to show you how you don't need to be an artist to do folk art and making flowers out of fabric where you don't need a template or fancy drawing skills to do it. So this is a 4-inch square and here is a 2-inch diameter circle. So what I'm going to do is take some background fabric here and I'm going to lay it down like this and put the circle in the middle. Now I'm going to draw a line going down this way, and then I'm going to just draw a little leaf shape right here, and then I'm going to draw another little leaf shape here. Now they're not even, they're not symmetrical to each other at all. This is folk art. Now it kind of looks like a flower because I've drawn a stem and a leaf, but now I'm going to take it and turn it like that. Now it kind of looks a little more like it. So when I'm done doing my stitches, this is what it looks like. So it's a very loose representation of a flower. So let me show you another version of a square and another square. So this is a 4-inch square, this is a 2-inch square. And again, it kind of looks like a flower. So here's one where I cut the corners off and this time used a circle in the middle also. And then now you can also use a circle within a circle. You can also just use templates if you want. Here's one where I used an heart template, but I really didn't like the way it looked. So what I did was I drew a lopsided heart. Then what you can do is take some of your decorative stitching and do a row of stitching below it to look like it's coming out of a garden. If you've never done applique before, there's a process that you go through to adhere your fabric to your background fabric. And I use a product called Light Easy Steam 2. It's double-sided. You don't have to use this brand. You can use any fusible product to keep your fabric against the background fabric. And then when you're done putting that onto your background fabric, you do any decorative stitch pattern on the drawings and on the fabric. So when you draw your leaves, I chose to draw a wider, to stitch a wider stitch and then a narrower stitch on the leaves. So let me give you an example of what all this can look like in a quilt. So as you look over this quilt, you'll see that I just took squares and kind of cut sections out of it to give it the shape that it has. Then I just drew my own hearts. I also just took different size squares and left them on there like they're little flowers. And then drew triangles with little semicircular things coming out of it. Drew a circle, cut a chunk out of it to make something like a tulip. And all of these are just like you went back and when you were 5 years old. Just think of yourself as a little child and you were drawing and you wanted to impress mom and dad. This is probably what some of it might look like. So you just freehand draw everything, or if you want, you can use templates. All of these squares were put together with the quilt as you go method. So if you're interested in learning how to do this, how to just freehand draw and put something like this together, I'll have a link below your YouTube screen that you can click on to take you to this quilt. So you don't even have to do all of the different patterns on here. You can just pick one, your favorite one, use different fabric on all of them, and then stitch the squares together. Or select just 2 patterns. Make multiple of those using different fabrics. So you don't necessarily have to do all of these. Here is a blouse pattern I bought a while back, and I'm going to show you how to do this sleeve. It's got a little bit of gathering on each side of the sleeve. It doesn't have any gathering in this part of the blouse. So I'm going to show you the technique that is used for doing this type of seam. If you're interested in getting this pattern, it's called New Look, and the number is N6708. For each sleeve, there are 2 sections. And this is where the gathering is. It shows to do 2 rows of gathering along this edge of each of your pieces for each sleeve. The reason why there's 2 rows is that if you just did 1, the fabric will be really difficult to pin down on the other piece of fabric. By doing 2 rows, it helps to stabilize it and keep it a little flatter so that you can adhere it to your other piece of fabric. On your pattern sheet will be these little circles. Now they didn't come out so well, it's really light, but it's right in here. You're going to do those 2 rows of stitching between 2 circle dots. So you go from this one all the way up towards the neckline to do this one. So you want to come in a little ways from the edge and do a large machine basting stitch. So you do 1 row from between those 2 circle dots, and then you go over a little bit and do another row of basting stitches near it. Now take a hold of your 2 threads. I've got a hold of both of them. And you're going to begin to push the fabric so that it will gather up along that edge. Then you go to the other end near the other circle dot, grab those 2 threads and gather it from the other side. Then you would pin it to the fabric for the main body of the blouse. This is my back section, so I'm placing it down and then pin it. So pin it all the way down in between those 2 dots. Now, if you don't have a serger, then you can use a standard 5/8 inch wide seam, and make sure you do an overcast stitch on the raw edges of your fabric so it doesn't come apart. So you do an overcast stitch on the raw edges and a 5/8 inch wide seam. I did not use that. I used my serger. So I just serged all the way down across there, down into the armpit area. And when you're done, this is what it looks like. So here's the main body of the blouse, and here is the sleeve area. So you would do that on each side of the sleeve for both sleeves. Well, I hope you enjoyed this tip of the week and that you learned something new. Now make sure you check out the links to that quilt project. If you want to know more about Applique, it's a great way to get started. Also, if you're interested in learning more tips for sewing clothing, watch some of my clothing tutorials. I will have links listed below your YouTube screen for that also. Now, don't forget to follow me on Instagram and make sure you check out my Facebook page. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time, and happy sewing. If you like the Sewing Room channel, one of the best ways to show your support is to subscribe by clicking on that red subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. And don't forget to click on share to share this video with your friends. And make sure you click on the bell so you receive notifications for all my new videos. I'm Cheryl, this is Manny, and this is Scotty. See you next time.